everyone, I hope that you're having a good year so far, like I am. Today we're going to be talking about invitation letter, how to draft a convincing invitation letter. I noticed that whenever I'm processing visas for my clients, a lot of them prefer for me to draft their invitation letters for them, because they're not sure what should be included in the invitation letter. And so I thought to create this video to show us exactly what we need to include in our invitation letter and the importance of that item in our invitation letters, to the visa officer. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about just that, what you should include in your invitation letter, especially this 2024. All right, so now we're going to be focusing on a visit visa because majorly that's what you need an invitation letter for. Somebody is inviting you over for a visit and they need to write a letter to the embassy, letting the embassy know that we are inviting this person for so period of time. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Zuri, and the purpose of this channel, the major objective of this channel, we break down travel tips and immigration policies so that the layman would understand it and know exactly what they mean and what to do about them, basically. So if you are someone who likes to travel, or someone planning to travel, or somebody who is planning to be a travel agent or a travel consultant, then this channel is for you. Please click on the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that whenever I release any new content, you can be notified. Now, let's imagine that you're planning to invite a family or friend to visit you in another country. We're going to be talking about the different things that should be on that letter. We're going to be breaking them down so that we know the importance of each of these things, okay? And if you have any questions, as we go on, just drop them in the comment section. I will come there and I will respond to you. Okay, so the very first one, in drafting a compelling invitation letter that meets the expectations of the visa officer. Remember, this is the visa officer we're trying to convince to allow you go into that country, okay? So everything is going to be just focused on the visa officer. In this application, customer is not king. The visa officer is king, okay? You have to do what the visa officer wants, okay? All right, so the very first thing that we're going to look at is your introduction. Now, what should be included in your introduction? Your introduction should be warm and welcoming, and your introduction should express excitement about the visit that's going to take place, okay? Now, your introduction should state your relationship with the person you're inviting, or your relationship with the person inviting you. Basically, an invitation letter is normally written by the person inviting you over. Whatever you add to the person is meant to state it in the introduction, okay? Now, that is how the introduction should be: warm and welcoming, expressing excitement about the visit, and stating your relationship with the person. The next one is the purpose of your visit. Now, in this purpose of visit, you are supposed to explain things, but you should try as much as possible to be concise also. Talk about why the person is visiting. Is the person visiting for tourism? Is the person visiting to just spend time with family and friends? Is the person visiting because it's a Christmas holiday coming up, or Thanksgiving, or attending an event like maybe a burial or a birthday? You also need to describe in a concise manner the activities that you plan to do with that person when the person comes. Are you going to Disneyland? Are you going to the museum? Or maybe the person is a doctor, or the person is an engineer. I'll be taking him for an engineering expo. All those things, okay? You need to write them down in the invitation letter, include them in the invitation letter, but then you need to be specific and concise, okay? As much as you can, be specific and concise. Now, the next thing I wrote here is the duration and the itinerary, okay? Basically talks about the length of your stay. This person is coming in on so date, and the person is going to be leaving at so date. Okay, so that the visa officer knows how many days are you spending, how many weeks or months are you spending in this place. Now, the next one I talked about the accommodation arrangements. Okay, what are the accommodation arrangements? Is the person staying in your house, or is the person staying in a hotel? Okay, if the person is staying in your house, one major thing you need to provide is proof that you actually stay there. Let's say your rent agreement, okay, to prove that you actually stay there. So you would leave your address in the invitation letter. You would write down your address. If the person you're inviting is not staying at your house, you need to provide details of where they would be staying and proof, okay, that maybe if they're staying in your sister's house, you need to provide details of your sister or your brother or your sibling, that this is my sibling's house and this is where this person will be staying. All right, you need to provide proof of that. Now, if they are staying in a hotel, you need to provide the hotel reservation details. Okay, the name of the hotel, number to contact in the hotel if they need to contact the hotel to confirm. Now, the next one is financial support. As the person inviting them, you need to state, are you going to be taking care of them while they are there, or are they going to take care of their own expenses? Okay, their feeding, their accommodation and everything in terms of expenses. Are you taking care of them, or are they taking care of themselves? It needs to be stated clearly, okay? And this would affect how the proof of funds should be. Now, for example, if you are the one taking care of them when they arrive in the UK, you would also need to submit your proof of funds. Sorry, I'm mentioning UK a lot. Okay, any country, whatever. Okay, you will need to provide your proof of funds, and that person coming might also need to provide their proof of funds. But if you do not indicate in your invitation letter that you are taking care of them financially or you are supporting financially, you do not necessarily need to provide your proof of funds. It means that they might only be staying at your house, right? And they are going to be taking care of themselves throughout their stay. But if you mention that you are going to be supporting them financially, you need to also present your proof of funds. Okay, your proof of funds is extremely important because your proof of funds shows that, number one, you are settled in that foreign country, and number two, you're financially able to take care of another human being in that country, depending on the number of people that you're inviting. Okay, so it is very, very important, your proof of funds. I did a video about proof of funds and common mistakes that are made when presenting proof of funds. I'm going to link it in the description below. Please watch it so you do not make any mistakes concerning proof of funds, presenting a proof of funds, whether you're the person inviting them or you're the person being invited. It is essential that your proof of funds is on point, okay? And you also need to check how much is needed for this duration of visit or this duration of stay. Make sure that you do not go below, your proof of funds does not go below that amount that is needed. So the next one I wrote here is legal obligations, okay? It's essentially, I wanted to say essentially important, but it's essential and important that you assure the visa officer that you understand the legal obligations involved. Now, when it comes to legal obligations, you need to show that you are even legal in that country as the person inviting. If you're not a citizen of that country, you need to show your visa. You, the person inviting another person. What visa are you on? Are you on a visit visa yourself and you're leaving soon and you're inviting somebody else? Or are you on a work visa for a couple of years and you're inviting somebody? You need to show that you have legal standing in that country before you even think about the other person. You need to show your visas, your documents and all. Make sure that your documents are on point, your personal details are on point. And then you now mention your awareness of the invitees' need to return to their home country. And you need to assure the visa officer that this person will definitely return to his country when the tenure or the validity of his visa is over. As a matter of fact, before the visa's validity is over, the person needs to return. It's not on the day of expiry of your visa that you will start returning. To be on the safe side, you need to leave that country, that foreign country, before your visa expires. Okay, the next one I wrote here is personal details. Your personal details and the person you're inviting as well. You know, I talked about legal obligations. So for this one too, you need to include personal details. Your international passport, your visa to show that you're legal in that country. If the person is staying with you, you need to show your proof of accommodation in terms of maybe your rent agreement and so on and so forth. You need to include your bank statement or your proof of funds if you mentioned that you would be supporting them. You also need to include your full name, your contact address. If you're married, you need to include your contact information and all that as well. Now, it is not just your information that you need to include. You need to include the information of the person you're inviting as well. And I always talk about presenting your strongest case. Okay, so whatever you're doing, whether you're showing proof of ties, proof of funds, invitation letter, ensure that you present your strongest case. You convince the visa officer without a shadow of doubt that, look, I am returning to my country. Okay, now for those of you who do not know what proof of ties means, I have linked it in the description below. Please watch the importance of proof of ties. Okay, proof of ties is very essential, much more essential than a lot of travel consultants make it seem. Okay, so you need to watch proof of ties, the importance and how to show proof of ties. It's very, very important that you watch how to show your proof of ties. Let's talk about the last one, okay, which is the closing. We're finally closing the letter. Yes, wow. So you need to end the letter with a warm closing statement. You know, when you started with a warm statement expressing your excitement for the visit. Now, in the closing, you also need to express gratitude, okay? Gratitude for the visa officer's time and consideration. No matter what you do, you need to understand that the people who are reviewing your documents are also human. So you need to be warm and you need to express gratitude that the visa officer has decided to consider your application and that you're looking forward to their approval and everything. You also need to provide your contact information for any further inquiries. If they need to reach out to you, maybe via email or via phone call, they can reach out to you via this email address and this number and all that. Okay, so you need to provide those details. So that's the final one. But let's talk about some additional tips to ensure that our invitation letter is extremely strong as it should be. Now, the first thing I wrote here is clarity and conciseness. Okay, you need to avoid unnecessary detail. We don't need to know how many times you will drink water. We don't need to know I know this sounds ridiculous, okay, but then you need to be as concise as possible. Even when you're giving details of the places that you want to go or the places that you want to take this person to, you need to be clear. You need to avoid unnecessary details and you need to keep the language simple and straightforward. Okay, the next one I wrote here is accuracy. Now, you need to be accurate. You need to ensure that all the information provided is accurate, okay? You cannot be saying that, oh, I came to this country 1st of January 2023, and then your visa is showing, or your stamps on your passport is showing that you came into the country 5th of January. So you need to ensure that all your documents are accurate, all of them match each other. If you're talking about proof of funds, I'm not going to elaborate on proof of funds because I've already made a whole video on proof of funds and mistakes that we make. Okay, now you wrote in your visa application form that you earn this amount of money and you don't have any additional income, but then your proof of funds is saying that you have millions of money extra from nowhere. It cannot even be traced. You know, nobody is saying you shouldn't have that extra money, but then it should be accounted for. Do you understand? Yeah, I know what I'm saying. If you want to understand what I just said, please go watch the video on mistakes made with proof of funds, okay? It's going to give you a lot of clarity as to why a lot of people get denied based on their funds available or their income and so on and so forth, okay? So make sure that all your information is accurate. Now, the last thing I wrote here is your supporting documents. Supporting documents are extremely essential. Remember, I talked about in the intro that you should show your relationship with the person that you're inviting, okay? Or that the person inviting you should show their relationship, should mention their relationship with you. It is very important, okay? And in this case, in your supporting documents, you need to show your proof of relationship. If it is your wife or your husband that you're inviting, your marriage certificate. If it is your brother or your sister that you're inviting, you need to show your birth certificate. You need to show his or her birth certificate, okay? So whatever it is that you have that can show proof of relationship. If the person is your best friend, you can show a picture of you and him, maybe before you traveled abroad. A picture of you and him, pictures of you and him having so much fun in Nigeria or in the country that you were before you traveled abroad, so that they know that, okay, these people have a relationship. Okay, that's, you know, that goes way back. Okay, this person is really his or her best friend, and it is okay that he wants to invite him over to visit him, or if this person wants to come over to visit him or her in the new country because they miss each other, that kind of thing. So I know I've spoken a lot, but good invitation letter enhances your chance of getting a visa approval. Please don't overlook it. Now, I talked about other videos that you can watch because those other items are very essential. Those parts are very essential in your visa application. I talked about proof of ties and I talked about your proof of funds. And I also talked about, okay, I've not mentioned it, but I will mention it now. Travel history. Travel history is extremely important. So make sure that you have all these covered, and hopefully and by God's grace, you will get a visa approval. All right, so if you haven't joined my masterclass, at the time of the release of this video, the masterclass is still ongoing. The masterclass community is an amazing community. It's a free masterclass, a visa to anywhere masterclass, where I show you my screen and teach you how to apply for visas to anywhere in the world. Okay, so if you are yet to join the masterclass, I have linked the WhatsApp channel in the description below. Okay, please join the WhatsApp channel and be a part of the masterclass community. You have already missed a whole lot, but then you can catch up. Okay, if you want to see those exclusive videos of me teaching you how to apply for visas from my screen, for me applying for a visa and you're seeing it on my screen and doing as I do, please join the masterclass, okay, so that you can get access to those exclusive videos. All right, till I see you in another video, good luck with your visa application.